Hello and welcome back to the final part of the West Ham rebuild. The full season has been completed as promised, and well, yep, we're on the verge. Haven't played it, of course, because I like to do one game in these videos, and this is probably the important one. However, I would just like to apologise for the delay in this video. Unexpected real-life things happened. Yeah, so that's why it's been about a week and a bit. I didn't get to play through quite as quickly as I would have liked, and well, we're here now anyway. That's the important thing. I will just say, going forward, there's probably going to be less videos on this channel. I'm aiming for 2 a week. Monday, Thursdays is probably the target, but there might be just a bit of delay where the only videos going out will be the Stream Save recap videos, the Party Beat Say Build a Nation recap videos. They'll probably be the only ones for like the next couple of weeks, just because I need to build up a catalogue of stuff to then release to you. It's also likely going to be mostly experiments for the next few bits, just because I've got quite a few things on, and just being able to do something in the background for content creation is probably a little bit easier for me at this point in time, rather than having to do something somewhat active like this. But it's been fun while it lasted. You'll also see at the very top, retention happened, and retention happened remarkably easily. There's also one spoiler on this page that you can't see. There's one spoiler you can see, and that's top player. But there's also a spoiler behind my head. We'll deal with transfers. Out went Emerson for a surprising 22.5 million. Quite frankly, miracle we got that. Vlasic had a 20 million mandatory future fee in his loan to Man United from last year. I have no idea why Man United went for him, but he has played 27 games for them. For some baffling reason, he played more for them than he did for us. Kufa went to Sevilla for 5 million. That's purely because he was leaving at the end of the year and Sevilla came in for him. I sold Barak for 20 million to Juventus. So that plan worked. Brought him in for nothing, sold him for 20 million the following year, having played 7 games for us. I love Barak, but he was rotation and he was upset about not playing. And in a similar vibe, 30 million for Jonathan Bamba to AC Milan, who bought him after we acquired Leao off them. I don't know why they just didn't put him in the deal. But yeah, free agent, sold him for 30 million. 50 million pounds for players we got in for nothing and actually played for us, kind of. Bamba played more for us than Barak did, but it's not bad flipping, is it? And then finally, 2 that we sold for a surprising amount of money considering. Fulham bought Wesley Hurt for 7.25 million after deadline day, so that went through on January 1st. Fulham clearly didn't put the date in their calendar. But yeah, we bought him for 2.5 million. He played once last year. Sold him to Fulham for 7.25 and he's played 3 times for them. It's going well for Wesley. I will be honest here though, he's very underrated. I do not understand his star ratings. 10 acceleration, 11 agility, sure, but the rest of his attributes are fantastic. I don't get it. And then the massively baffling £22 million we got from Japhet Tanganga. This was a negotiation. They came in with a paltry offer and then I went, 22 please? Just whatever the highest, nearest round number was, I think. And they went, yep. So off he went. And this was fine because I brought in homegrown players in the meantime. He was obviously originally brought in to help fill that number. And the good news is he played for Bournemouth, so that's good for him. So, inbounds. But bear in mind that Tanganga was sold for £22 million. Arthur Theatre, there's an endless array of possible pronunciations and I will not get the right one. But Arthur, £22.5 million. And not all of that was up front. Only 20 million, 2.5 if he plays 50 games, which he will do if we had continued this, but yeah. But even with that 2.5 million, I've spent £500,000 more on a 3.5 star defender than I did selling a 2.5, who was only 2.5 because he's English. Also bought Verismo for 23 million. This one's slightly more, but he did agree to be a squad player, but even playing squad player levels, he's upset. He's played 14 games this season. That's squad player to me. Dear Sports Interactive, please fix the boundary levels for playing time. 1/4 of the games is squad player, okay? Half the games is regular starter, 3/4 should be important, I would say. Also, because we sold Kufal for 5 million, I loaned in Carl Walker for 4 months. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that one, I didn't notice the end time of that, but the end date of his loan was the 24th of January. Not the 1st, the 24th. We actually got playing time when he went back to Manchester City. I don't know what happened, he was on the loan list because, I don't know. So I went, yeah, sure, full wages, whatever. Nothing else. We'll deal with Leao next. It was a big transfer, 65 million all things considered with add-ons and what have you. But when it came to this season, and if we wanted to win the big things, there were kind of two spots that I felt could do with a big step up. Shoulder up, obviously fantastic in that position in a long-term save. But this was a short-term, we need to do something now situation. So shoulder up, 3 stars. Why not get someone in world class to play ahead of him for this season? And that was Liao. And as you can see on his pros, world class. 7.41, 9 goals, 10 assists in the Premier League, 6 player of the matches, 12 goals, 16 assists, all things considered and everything. 7.3, weirdly lower average rating. The other position, as much as I love merit, yeah, I will say eccentricity 10 on Aaron Ramsdale feels slightly undercooked there, but getting a world-class goalkeeper in was pretty solid. And he was weirdly available for 23 million. So this was kind of opportunistic. I'd looked at him last year, quite frankly, but the price tag put me off because they have the rivalry price tag on it. But 23 million for some reason this year, a lot lower this year. How could I say no? Also, interesting shift in the dynamics of London teams has happened here, basically. Yeah, seems like people are moving from Big Six teams to West Ham. West Ham are indeed massive, at least here anyway. And there's one more player that really rams that home. That's not a pun on Ramsdale, by the way, that was just accidental. Yeah. His price tag last year was over 100 million. Inexplicably, in the gap between the summer deadline day and the January deadline day, his price tag dropped to an availability of 78, which I felt was reasonable. And then 2 weeks before January the 1st, when he was due to sign, he was injured for 2 months. Because of course he was. The wage was kind of very much a click and accept kind of thing. The save's ending, I don't have to deal with those consequences. But he has started 11 games for us since his injury ended, and he has an average rating of 7.46. 7 goals, 4 assists, 4 player of the matches in 11 starts. It's not bad, £60 million up front, 18 million if he plays 50 games, which of course he's never going to in this particular save. But yeah, might have acquired both Ramsdale and Bukayo Saka. I'm not going to pretend I didn't look at Harry Kane, but Scamacca was kind of the point of this, quite frankly. Scamacca and Rice were sort of the 2 hinged players for this particular save. Rice because he's always fantastic, and Scamacca because he's just very good in FM. Everyone else was up for grabs, and Noni Madueke was injured about 4 times in the first 4 months. So I thought, why not? Just going to throw it out there. 3 weeks at the end of August, 12 days at the end of September, 8 days in the middle of October, 2 weeks at the end of October, then he had a cold for 11 days at the start of December, and then he was out for 6 weeks, literally on New Year's Eve. The day before, Bukayo Saka turned up, but he was also injured at that point. That was an impact from another player, though, in fairness, that's not on him. But Noni Madueke adds to the very short list of players who are listed as injury-prone and have actually been injury-prone. His stamina's gone up, though. Good for him. Weirdly, though, we've only got 1 injured player, and it's the person we sent out on loan in the form of Cornet. So we're at full strength for this Champions League final, and well, there's the full season as a whole. I will highlight one match because it was the Carabao Cup final. We won it 3-2 in extra time. Son with a 95th minute equaliser. Thank you for that one. Thank you for that unnecessary extra time period, because it was sandwiching between 2 games against PSG and Man United and Chelsea in the FA Cup quarter-final, which we lost. So yeah, no FA Cup, but we did get the Carabao Cup. We also won the Premier League on the same day as winning the EFL Cup final. We genuinely won a double on the same day, because our nearest rival for the Premier League drew in a match they played on exactly the same day as the Carabao Cup final, which gave us the title. I've never seen that happen, and I love that it did. But eagle eye viewers may spot one particular match, which was quite impressive. Not the 5-4 away at Paris Saint-Germain, that was ridiculous. 4-2 away at Man United, pretty good, pretty good. 1 down here as well, 5-0 on the final day against Brentford, that's a pretty solid result. 5-1 against Lazio away from home is a very solid result. 5-0 at home to Man United, thank you for that rivalry, by the way. 4 goals after a sending off, admittedly. Beat Real Madrid, actually, in the league phase, 2-0. Chelsea, though, had our number basically every single time they played us, I now realise. Beat us in the league, beat us in the FA Cup, and then I think they beat us in the league again. They did, yeah. Sending off happened, though. Inter Milan and Manchester City in the Community Shield are the only other teams to beat us this season, along with an Arsenal game. But yeah, FA Cup third round against Bristol City. 10-0. 10-0. That was my first double digits result in FM23, and that includes playing non-league teams in other saves. 10-0. I feel sorry for Bristol. I like Bristol as a whole. I wish they were Premier League just because I feel like Bristol should have a Premier League team. And I'm so sorry that this happened. This was rotation. Our third choice goalkeeper was in this, and we allowed him 2 shots. We had 16 shots on target. He still had 6 saves there, goalkeeper. 71% possession, 28 shots, 16 on target, 10-0. Apparently I need to tell them they're not expected to win, even though we beat them already. So we are indeed at full strength. So the lineup is Ramsdale in goal, Nets, Theate, Todibo, Baku, I should have looked it up, Rice, Dewsbury Hall, who is ridiculous, Caicedo, Leao, Saka, and Scamacca. I'll be honest, that's the first time I said that out loud. I didn't realise it rhymed until just then. But you can see a few of the goals for the season so far. Scamacca's on 28, Leao's on 12, Saka scored 7 and 11, it's ridiculous. 8 for Dewsbury Hall with 23 assists. Caicedo scored 14, Rice has scored 4, Todibo has 14 goals. Belotti has more goals than starts. You can't see it behind my head. He has 18 goals in 15 starts and 18 sub-appearances. Underrated, maybe? Certainly a name I'll be keeping an eye on going forward anyway. Oh joy, that recent form is fun. They're third in their league, with 5 wins in a row. What happened there? I know they knocked out Atletico on their way to this final, so I can only assume Barcelona have won that division. Real Madrid in this universe have acquired Milenkovic. That's a move that often happens and didn't in the lead save for whatever reason, so we got him there, but Steelmakers, Bellingham. What, Steelmakers a right back? Is that his preferred? It is his preferred. I could have sworn he used to be a centre back. Well, he's 5'11", so maybe not. They also acquired Koeman. So Todibo intercepts a throw-in, and there's a bit of back and forth, but it has ended up in Real Madrid possession. Bellingham, against his England teammate, of course. Bellingham's playing their defensive midfield role, which, I mean, in fairness, that midfield is Bellingham, Camavinga, Tchouaméni. Those are 3 very similar players. Rodrigo up front is curious, I've just realised. Obviously no Benzema at this point. I think he's still there, he just may have gone physically, attribute-wise. Koeman gets on the end of that, tries to switch it to Vini Jr. successfully. In fact, Rodrigo, there's in for Camavinga here just because there was a huge gap in our defence. I've just scrolled down on the Real Madrid defence to try and see if Benzema was on it and found out that Matty Cash is there. What? He's played 23 times. Is this the weirdest transfer I've seen this year? It might be. They've also confusingly got Ben White for less money and less appearances. Benzema did indeed retire at 36. Didn't realise he was actually that old. Obviously I knew he was 30-something, but I didn't realise he would have been, 33 or 4 at the start of the save? Because he retired last year. But 0-0 at half-time, we'll thrash and stay far from pleased and get on with it. This cup final's happening, I believe, in Munich. It is, yes. Which is somewhat unfortunate because Real Madrid beat Bayern Munich in the semi-finals. They would have actually had a home game. But it does also mean that Real Madrid have played here twice in a row. So they're probably a little bit used to it. Actually, Fußball Arena München, actually is Bayern Munich Stadium. Okay, just checking. Because this is not one of the Allianzes. But I guess that might not be translated into the game. Dewsbury Hall puts a free kick in. Scamacca's at the post, cleared to Rice, who's lurking. Rice, back to Baku. Theate, Dewsbury Hall, Scamacca, clearance. I just realised that right-hand side is Baku and Saka. Baku, Saka, Scamacca. That could get confusing. Leao's been injured. Great, that's what we needed. Sheldrup plays that side. Caicedo's not having a good one. Big game player Alex Scott time, I think. Speaking of Bristol City. Oh God, I took their best player and I beat him 10-0. Admittedly, there's a 2-year gap in between those two events, but oh no, that was not the way to treat them after them giving us Alex Scott. Oh, I'm so sorry, Bristol. That's just dawned on me. That's not going to get through to anyone. Courtois, who fit? Good, that was aimless. Theate, to Rice, to Debo. Still to Debo. Forward to Saka, finds Baku. Back to Saka. Nope, Mendy in the way of that one, but that is through. That's going to find Bellingham, and I'm concerned that's the 3-on-3. Dewsbury Hall gets in the way via somehow. Scott finds Sheldrup. The 2 substitutes combine. Not that it matters, but this year's youth intake was terrible, but a previous youth intake player was in the top 10 for next gen. Scott to Sheldrup. Just reminds me because Sheldrup won it last year. Apparently Saka's very tired. He is, bless him. Noni Madueke for a briefest appearances. Tyreek Mitchell on. Was he generally trying to maybe put Salazar on at left back? I'm actually going to bring Belotti on for the last 5, unless Scamacca scores here, which still possible with Nets on the ball. If he gets it in, that's a tackle on Bellingham on Dewsbury Hall, probably for taking his England spot. I imagine they play alongside each other. I imagine they don't have rivalry there. But Dewsbury Hall is playing for England. It does have the most English name in English history, so fitting that he finally gets caps. Penalty awarded, 87 minutes on clock, 1-0 to us already. Those 3 substitutes have just gone through. Probably the worst time possible for them. As Sheldrup is our best penalty taker, apparently. That says a lot. Although, to be fair, we had a game recently where we scored one penalty via Leao. He was substituted off, and then we scored a second penalty via Shelderup. So I know he can score them, just not today when it matters. Dewsbury puts the ball into Debo for what would be goal 17, I think it would have been. I mean, that's hero to zero, but still hero because it's the deciding goal. Oh, at least for the Champions League, I get to be involved. Apparently Ramsdale was the captain, or at the very least first on. No, there's Declan Rice. Okay, it's last up is the one with the trophy. That makes more sense. Huzzah! Also, just the person who gave the trophy. Bold choice going for red spectacles with your red... Why is everyone wearing red glasses? That can't be... That's got to be an error. Congratulations, what a win. Famous treble. Just with the Carabao, not the FA Cup. Oh yeah, Bayern was loaned out to Ajax and conceded 12 goals all year. Yeah, apologies to the Eredivisie. I appear to have broken that division by giving them Bayern. Only 17 million for winning that, which seems appalling, and that's a lot of people with some form of trophy, including Nathan Trott, who didn't make an appearance. Kyle Walker gets a Champions League medal for playing for us. That feels wrong. Also, shout out to this guy who clearly made one substitute appearance in one of the earlier games. 4 Papa John's trophy appearances, 1 Champions League. What a career Freddie Potts is having. A few bit more pittance money, but I imagine that's immediately given him straight back out again. It is, yes. Apparently overachievers. Dewsbury Hall claims UEFA Champions League Player of the Season. I'll be honest, when I signed him, that was not a sentence I was expecting. I thought, here's a nice, solid, homegrown rotation option for the midfield. And yet, Dewsbury Hall, mate, you were useless last year. I actually signed him last year for Hanover, and he wasn't good. Quietly, one of the best players I signed. He played 1 game at DM, halfback, and got a 7.7. I thought last year's 17 assists was ridiculous, and then he's turned up with 23 this year. Also got young player of the season. Win the Champions League, 5 players. There's 4 Man City players in this, and they only got to the quarters. I mean, huge disrespect to all of the other semi-finalists, the fact that these 3 got in there. Well, all right. There's more, oh no, there's as many Man City players as there are finalist players from Real Madrid. Sure. Game, sure. Caicedo, Dewsbury Hall, not Rice, interestingly. Scamacca, Todibo, Nets, all in it. Ramsdale second in goalkeepers, Todibo and Nets first 2 for defenders. So Scamacca was in Dream Team, but forward of the season, Haaland, Mbappe, Lukaku. Never change for a manager, never change. But there we are, a very solid set of signings. Minimal in number, heftier in price tag overall. But it's got to be said, the money invested was actually worthwhile in the end. Saka obviously injured for the first 6 weeks of his time here, but average rating wise, performed. Goalkeeper, performed. Theatre, performed. Even Verissimo, who got a C, A+, of course. Match to remember 4-0 away in Milan is interesting, rather than the 10-0, which is here, or the 5-0 over Man United, for instance. You know, a rival. Ramsdale actually got into the top 5 shirts. Ramsdale. There we are, there's the high numbers, really. 17 assists from left back. Kind of went a little bit unnoticed for Luca Nets. Sorry, it would have been goal 50 for Todibo. I gave him 2 more than he actually had, but Salazar actually beats Theatre to the... What? We just saw on the previous page that his average rating was 7.07. But it is worth mentioning, Salazar and Theatre have very much rotated in that role over the course of the season and done very fantastically between them. Real competition in that left centre-back spot in particular. And everyone else who came into the midfield has been pretty solid too. Not really been much in the way of disappointments. But Scamacca player of the season, Shelderup young, signing Leao, goal of the season, Declan Rice. He just won Premier League goal of the season, so that's understandable. And new records, 21 yellow cards for Baku. This formation admittedly does get the yellow cards, but 23 assists, unsurprisingly a new record. Player of the match for Leao very much pays back the 60 million we paid for him. And the full roster of situations, a lot of one for the futures, of course. Goalkeeper Golden Glove for Fabianski, immediately sold. Unfortunate. Conference League, Premier League, Merit Golden Glove. Ironically, Ramsdale didn't get Golden Glove because Xhaka did at Newcastle. I'm sorry. That's collecting dubs. Sports Interactive, the word win is the same number of letters and it's more professional. Don't be using slang on this, for Christ's sake. Collecting wins is the same number of letters. What's this country coming to? Yeah, 91 points, new club record, new Premier League record apparently. That's one of those records that gets reset for Football Manager for whatever reason. And yeah, Player of the Year for the Premier League Leao. So yeah, £60 million, well worth it. Champions League at the end. What do they want? Challenge for the Champions League, qualify for the Champions League, win the Premier League season after next if we were to continue. So winning it twice in a row has very much shifted their demands, but Champions League is next season. Oh yeah, so many people agreed to do contracts at the end of the year, and I've now forgotten about it. But not that it matters. I'll just get rid of these just so I can actually progress. But there we are, a not particularly emphatic final, but a victory nonetheless. And average rating wise, you can see the situation. Cresswell, bless him, still hanging on in there at 1.5 stars, about to retire at 35, but made 1 appearance, 1 substitute appearance, got 1 assist. But Saka comes in January, highest average rating that isn't Trot because he played in the 10-0 victory. Oh, bless. But you can see there, if I scroll down, you can just about still see all the average ratings. Nobody had a worse average rating than 6.95. That is the lowest average rating. That's Tyro Mitchell left back, Ben Johnson a right back, and Riddle Backer a right back, 6.99s as well. Only 5 actual players for us, averaging less than a 7, and they're all 6.95 or higher. A fantastic season. And a fantastic way to wrap this all up. Yeah, might be a while before I do another rebuild, just because I want to maybe shift the way I do these a little bit, perhaps. Maybe go a little bit more traditional in that sense. I just wanted to be involved in the save rather than just let it, sim out. But just with my schedules coming up, maybe we'll do a rebuild, but where I just sim the season rather than play the season. Probably expect experiments next alongside the recap videos for the Party Beat Say /Builder Nation save that's going on Twitch. As for Twitch, the link's down below, of course. Follow me over there. I've been as absent on there as I have for YouTube, just because of everything that's been going on outside in the real world. There will be streams in the first half of next week. The second half of next week, I'm very, completely start to end of the day busy again, so that's a bit unfortunate. But I should be streaming semi-regularly after that point, again, obviously with the check save. So we'll see what we can do in terms of experiments. I'm intending to return an experiment that I did before, and maybe with a few other little ones here and there. But thank you for joining me. It's been enjoyable, even if this last particular season has taken an awful long time to actually get through. Not for any fault for the save itself, but it's safe to say it's possible for West Ham. Let's be real. They can't do what I just did. But nonetheless, it's possible in Football Manager, at least. Until next time, thank you for watching. Ta-ra.